Having few or no friends doesn't automatically mean you're broken, cold, or failing at life. Sometimes it's the result of quiet losses, drifting connections, or simply the way your inner world works. You bond slowly, you notice too much, you don't enjoy shallow closeness, and you'd rather be alone than perform a version of yourself that fits. This script is about what that life feels like in the present, how solitude can be both a shelter and a bruise, how weekends can feel peaceful and sharp at the same time, and how the absence of messages can start to sound like a verdict even when you chose the silence. You're going to see this inner world through ordinary moments, checking your phone and finding nothing, watching group photos scroll by without jealousy but with a small ache, filling your time with routines that keep you steady, feeling oddly calm in your own space and then suddenly aware of how quiet it is. This isn't a speech about putting yourself out there. It's a clear look at the psychology of living with a small or empty social circle, how it shapes your nervous system, your self-image, your relationships with work and media, and the private kind of strength it can build when you stop calling your life a defect. Some weekends begin gently. No plans. No, where are we meeting? The room is still enough that you can hear the kettle and your own footsteps. You make coffee like you're allowed to take up time. For a moment, being alone feels like owning your life. Then your hand reaches for your phone anyway. Not because you're desperate. Because you're human. You check and there's nothing, no casual meme, no, you free today, no tiny ping that proves you're present in someone else's mind. The quiet doesn't break. It sharpens. Your brain starts filling in the blank. Maybe you're forgettable, maybe people like you but don't miss you, maybe you're the kind of person who fades without anyone noticing. You can be the one who chose distance and still feel the sting of it. Because you didn't step back for no reason. You've had friendships where you had to stay light to be tolerated. You've watched conversations circle the surface until you felt yourself go numb. You've been around people and still felt alone. Somewhere along the way, you learned that having plans and being known are different things. So you stopped forcing it. You let some ties drift. You protected your energy. The protection can still ache. Loneliness shows up in plain scenes. In the grocery line behind two friends arguing softly about dinner, noticing how even their irritation has somewhere to land. At work, listening to weekend stories and realizing yours have fewer names in them. On a Friday night, hearing laughter through your window and feeling nothing dramatic, just a small awareness that you could spend the whole weekend without being expected anywhere. And the world keeps telling you that this is a problem. You can feel it in the questions. What did you do, meaning, with who? Are you seeing anyone, meaning, are you connected enough to count? Even when people mean well, the culture treats a full calendar like proof that you're okay. So a quiet life starts looking like a confession, and you learn to explain it away: busy, tired, early night, long week. Social media makes the contrast louder. Group photos. Inside jokes in captions. Plans posted like receipts. You don't always envy the noise. Sometimes you envy the certainty, being expected, being included without having to audition for it. And after a while, you start doing quiet arithmetic: how long since someone reached out first, how many times you were the one who initiated, how many "we should hang out" lines dissolved into nothing. That arithmetic does something to your posture. You become careful with your needs. You stop asking. You stop bothering. You carry your life privately because trying and not being met leaves a mark. You call it independence. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a shield: if you don't reach, you can't feel the drop. So your inner world grows dense. You build rituals that hold you, music that settles your breath, walks at dusk, a book that keeps you company, a kitchen that feels like your own language. You learn how to fill an evening without witnesses. You become good at being with yourself. There is real peace in that. There is also a quiet kind of grief. Being capable isn't the same as being held. The grief slips in through small moments. A song hits you and you want to send it to someone who would understand why. You see something funny and your thumb hovers over your contacts, then falls. You get good news and realize you'll celebrate in silence because you don't know where to place the joy. Nothing explodes. You just keep going. That's the part people don't see. And then there's the strange difficulty of trying again. When your circle is small, each new connection feels heavier. A coffee invite can feel like an audition. You catch yourself monitoring your tone, your intensity, the pace of your honesty. You try to be easy. You leave tired even if it went well, because you weren't simply present, you were managing the possibility of being misunderstood. So you retreat, relieved, and a little ashamed for wanting more than surface. This is where solitude becomes complicated. It can be a shelter that slowly turns into a wall. Isolation is predictable. It doesn't reject you. It doesn't ask you to shrink. In your own space you don't have to perform warmth, you don't have to translate yourself, you don't have to wonder if you're too much. But walls keep things out and keep things in. Over time, the same quiet that protects you can start to feel like a room with the door stuck. Under the pride, the real wish is simple. You don't want crowds. You want a witness. Someone who knows the shape of your week. Someone who asks again. Someone who can sit with your silence without trying to fix it. Someone who doesn't require you to be entertaining to be loved. And when you name that, even privately, the story loosens. Your life stops being a defect and becomes a design. You're selective because shallow closeness drains you. You bond slowly because you take people seriously. You have fewer friends because you can't live on performance. That doesn't erase the bruise. It just removes the shame from it. You're allowed to want depth. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to be different without calling yourself broken. Sunday afternoon. The light is grey gold. You wash a mug and set it upside down on the rack. You straighten a chair, not for guests, just to make the room feel breathable. Your phone rests nearby. No new notifications. The silence is there, familiar as your own skin. You walk to the window and watch people move in pairs and small groups, passing like stories you don't know. You feel the old mix, peace, ache, difference, move through you without needing to be solved. You set the phone face down, not as a statement, just as a choice. You breathe. And somewhere inside that breath, a door stays slightly open, not to noise, not to performance, but to the possibility of one real connection arriving quietly, when you don't have to become someone else first.